Well, there was plenty of political banner this past week from Chick-Fil-A to party politics. Republican and Democratic activists were burning up the Twitters, as they say. Joining me to talk politics is Katherine Vasilos, Communications Director for the Republican Party of Arkansas, and Candace Martin, Communications Director for the Democratic Party of Arkansas. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with the package that we just looked at right before the commercial break there, dealing with Chick-fil-A, all these different viewpoints in this controversy. I kind of want to get an assessment from both of you. And Candace, I'll come to you first. Well, what is your thoughts in terms of the different viewpoints that are out here on this particular subject? Does it help hurt your party? What do you see?
I think directly it spoke to, our rights as on the First Amendment, and people on both sides of the aisle are incredibly energized over this particular issue. And obviously it all comes back to the fact of the issue of gay marriage, which Arkansas voters have already adopted here in the state of Arkansas to define marriage as between a man and a woman.
Do you see this as being a plus or a minus for the Democratic Party? Does it have some sort of connection to a political affiliation?
It seems like an older issue here in the state of Arkansas since it already has been adopted in our state's constitution.
All right, Katherine, what do you think? What's your take on the different viewpoints that are out there and the particular party perspectives?
Absolutely. We saw nearly 1 million people from across this nation come out in support of freedom of speech as well as religious liberty. And, what we saw is that instead of attacking successful businesses for what they believe in and the values that they hold, protesters and Democrats alike should be focused on the fact that President Barack Obama has run this economy into the ground. Politically speaking, I think this demonstrates how deeply out of touch President Barack Obama is with the people not only in Arkansas, but in America.
I thought they were hungry, so they went there to get some chicken sandwiches. But you're saying it's all about Barack Obama. I did not see this as necessarily a political statement against the president. I saw this more as a conversation about free speech, a conversation about the marriage equality
Absolutely.
question.
Well, we have President Barack Obama, who recently came out in support of same-sex marriage, and again, deeply demonstrates how out of touch he is with voters in Arkansas who, like you said, adopted an amendment years ago banning same-sex marriage in the state.
Question for both of you. Does what you saw in terms of political energy, whether you're in support of what went on, against what went on, do you see that translating into the fall elections?
Well, I think there's a lot of energy going into the fall elections, and this issue in particular isn't necessarily indicative of that here in Arkansas. Like I said before, we've already voted on this as a state. It is a state's issue, and that's been pretty clear even from the national perspective as well, and we've already voted on it here.
Does this energize the Republican base?
The Republican base is already energized,
Okay.
and I'd like to argue that it's not just a state issue. We have President Barack Obama, who, like I said, came out in support of same-sex marriage. He was the first American president in history to do so. So it is going to be a nationwide issue. It is going to be a state issue because voters are going to go to the polls in November and remember that, and they're going to vote conservative and they're going to vote Republican.
Go ahead.
I will say, we've settled this issue in Arkansas. It's already been decided by the voters of Arkansas. And I think what this year we're going to be more focused on is who's going to work harder to create jobs and develop our economy, which remains to be the #1 issue on Arkansas voters' minds. And that's what Arkansas Democrats are really focused on here.
Let's turn our attention to a controversy that erupted this past week between the two of you, actually. It was a little controversy out there over Democratic assertion that Republicans want to raise sales taxes in this state as a balance for a cut in the income tax. I'm going to grant you the premise of your argument there that there has to be some balance, but would you admit that it's not in the party platform, this raising sales tax plank that you had out there in your original press release?
The language that they adopted as part of their party platform is actually even worse from what they had in there previously. Previously, they said that they would cap the state sales tax increase by 2%. There's already one Republican plan out there that says that they would increase it by 3%. Now they're just saying that they're going to replace it with an equitable tax system. And I have no idea what that looks like or what kind of tax hikes are in there. And more so, Arkansas families are concerned about how it is exactly that Republicans want to play for their plan with increased sales tax increases or other tax increases.
Right, the language is not in there, but there is language in there about an equitable method of balancing this out. What does that mean?
Well, first I want to say that Arkansas Democrats are wrong on the facts. There is no plan to raise the sales tax in Arkansas. In fact, I brought with me a copy of our party platform, as well as a copy of our House Simple Plan. If you can find anywhere in these two documents where Republicans want to raise taxes, then I will personally make a donation to the head of the Democratic Party, President Barack Obama.
All right. Well, I would point out that the language in the platform says replace the state income tax with a more equitable method of taxation. If you're going to reduce the income tax, you're going to have to raise another tax, which is what your challenge just was.
Bottom line is that our income tax is unfair. It puts our state at a disadvantage with surrounding states when it comes to job creation. Republicans have a plan to reform our income tax in Arkansas. You can read the details of that plan online. It's called the Simple Plan. You can go to arhouse.org, read that online. It's for every Arkansan to see. But again, Republicans do not want to raise the sales tax. There is no plan out there. I've presented these two documents again. You can review them. There is nothing in these two documents that say Republicans want to raise taxes on Arkansans.
Katherine has spoken. She says there is no language in there that says that.
Well, I'd like to have some more information from you about what an equitable tax system looks like. If it's not an increase in the state sales tax, as your party has previously proposed, is it a flat tax? Is it an increase in the gas tax? All of those things would be detrimental to Arkansas families, and it's not in the best interest. Arkansas Democrats, on the other hand, have a record of cutting taxes in our state. We've cut more taxes than in our entire state's history and delivered over $245 million every year back to Arkansas families through tax cuts like the grocery tax cuts. We want to continue that kind of progress.
Go ahead, Katherine.
You speak of the grocery tax cut. Governor Mike Beebe was able to reduce the grocery tax cut, and Arkansas Republicans believe that we can reduce the income tax. It's a matter of priorities. We either grow government or we reduce taxes, and Republicans support reducing the tax burden on hardworking Arkansas taxpayers.
All right, let's shift to another thing here. Both of your party chairmen have penned op-eds in our recent edition of Top Business Quarterly. Candace, I'm going to start with you. Chairman Bond mentions Barack Obama 0 times in his piece. Just to let you know, I was counting there. There are 6 references to Governor Mike Beebe. But you guys do cite this litany of state accomplishments, and you've touched on a few of them here. None of that would have happened, though, without Republican cooperation. Can you agree to that?
Well, and obviously, over 60% of Republicans are in favor of Governor Mike Beebe. I think, like you referenced and what we referenced in our statements there, is that our state has made progress. In the midst of the worst economy since the Great Depression, we were able to announce over 28,000 jobs. And for the last 3 fiscal years, Arkansas was one of 4 states to balance their state budget while delivering the largest tax cut in the history of our state.
Well, now, you say also, too, Chairman Bond says, we know it is not the time to change course. High unemployment, sluggish consumer spending, pretty mediocre housing market. I could make an argument it is time to change course.
Well, whenever you look at Arkansas and how we compare to the rest of the country, obviously these are challenging times. But with the leadership of Governor Beebe, we have been able to see progress. And in November, people are going to have a choice between candidates who want to work with Governor Beebe to continue progress that we've made here in our state, or candidates who simply want to oppose Governor Beebe at every turn. All
right, Katherine, your chairman, Doyle Webb, mentioned Barack Obama 10 times in his article, just to let you know I was counting there. Mitt Romney twice. But you guys do kind of bark out this litany of state problems, higher taxes, Medicaid problems, education needs to be better. All of these problems are also, whether you guys take the majority or don't take the majority, you're still going to have a Democratic governor agree to some of these things. How is there going to be some spirit of cooperation between Republicans and Democrats if you guys are diversely different in terms of your vision for what Arkansas should be?
Absolutely. Arkansas Republicans have continued time after time to put forth new ideas to make our state a better place for all Arkansans. This is an election that is based on bold conservative reform versus maintaining the status quo. And Republicans are ready to work with Democrats. We have the ideas. We have a plan of action to move our state forward, and we're fully prepared to work with Democrats to do that. The Democratic Party, on the other hand, has been in control for 138 years. We've seen a lack of progress, and it's time for new ideas and bold conservative reform to move our state forward.
All right, I got to let it end on that note there because we're out of time. Katherine Vasilos with the Republican Party of Arkansas, Candace Martin with the Democratic Party of Arkansas. Thank you both.
Thank you.
We'll have you both back on.